welcome back to our channel at Two Goss in the Coffin. I'm Amari.
And I'm Jude.
And we are back again to do a live reaction of the third season of Interread Vampire, the Vampire Lestat. What's the name of this episode?
New York.
New York. New York. Or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. So the past few times, the first one we did a kind of a live reaction. I wouldn't really call it that fully just because we had already seen it.
Yeah.
And also I was exhausted. So for the people who were like, you got like this reaction, I'm like, listen, I was tired. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. And then we did discussions in between for each episode, and now we're doing a live reaction for the 5th episode because Akasha's supposed to be in this one, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure this is. They had said in an article a while ago that like Akasha comes in episode 5, but also in general. So like when we did our thing for last season, I feel like the formula with this show is episode 5 is the crazy one.
Yeah.
That happened with season 1, that happened with season 2. And so from what I've heard, I've heard that about 5 and 6 are like the crazier ones, but we're just keeping it with, we react to episode 5 because episode 5 tends to be the crazy ones, and also Akasha. So
My wife.
I think it has to be, right? Because we already know that from the previews that this is when he meets Marius. And that's when he meets Akasha. Because he's the one who keeps those who must be kept. So
I don't care to see him. Just show me my wife. Show her to me now.
Mm-hmm.
I got all cute for her. So yeah. So
all right. So I don't think that we have much more preamble, so we're just gonna get into
it.
All right.
So you may have noticed that we are in different outfits and we are no longer seated together. That's because after watching the episode, there was so much for us to take in that we don't think we had a lot to talk about.
No.
And we also, the things that we did talk about, maybe we felt like we didn't have a lot of substance there. There's probably some good stuff there, but like, we don't know. We don't remember. We will be watching this as we edit and we'll be like, oh, we did have a few things, but fuck it. Whatever. That said,
we definitely needed a rewatch for sure.
We definitely
because
needed
there
a
was
rewatch.
So much.
And there's definitely things that we know we wanted to say after.
Like literally the day after.
It.
We were like, oh, and this also. And we're like, we just need to do it again. Because we were just kind of like, that was crazy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Sheila. She's pretty. At least that's all I had to say. And that's all I said even during the reaction. Even during the reaction, I felt like I was just trying to take things in. That I was barely even reacting. Because I was just like, what's happening?
I was also trying to like, it's hard to do reactions when you're also trying to make sure you hear everything,
right?
Because so much info like coming up while we were like in every second. It was just like, oh my god. So we were like for most of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's get into it, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess even talking about that, like, it's a lot of exposition, right? And I feel like
this has kind of been
it's the way it's handled. Maybe there's too much. I feel like there's so much stuff that's like being told to us, and we're getting a lot of things that are happening off screen that we're not being shown.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, I'm like, this is the exposition season. This is the season where everything is it honestly, for some reason. And I'm saying for some reason, I know what the reason is. It feels like this season is all set up for next season. Like, it feels like this one, they've just been like, we need to get everything in place. And
But
it's
then-
like,
Yeah,
but it does like cut this narrative short, because I understand, like, in the chronology of the Vampire Chronicles, the vampire Lestat begins and ends in a way that transitions directly into Queen of the Damned, but in the whole middle is a completely different narrative, and there is stuff in that narrative that also sets up stuff for Queen of the Damned. Like, it lays groundwork, but it's also its own independent narrative. Like, you can read the Vampire Lestat and not be like, well, I need to read the next one, otherwise I don't understand what happened here. Like, it stands on its own, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas this one doesn't. This one is heavily dependent on the two previous seasons, which most shows should be, but it also feels like it's heavily dependent on what the next season is going to be. You know what I mean?
Right. And I get what you're saying. And yeah, so I told Jude yesterday while I was like grocery shopping that it feels like the whole, if I could describe it as a song, it would be the one Hamilton song where they're like, why do you, right, like, you're running out of time. And that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. So anyway, I think the
Cringe
easiest way to do this is how we do most of our Zencaster. I say Zencaster, like anyone knows the software we're using. How we do like this sort of like video style where we kind of go chronologically through the episode. So let's start at the top, which is also, once again, heavy like lots of important things are told to us in this narration right at the top.
Yeah.
First thing is Lestat is faking, he took the shooting to fake his death. So now he's recording the album in secrecy so that they can do one big in memoriam concert that's going to be just for vampires, it seems like.
Right. And where he describes his studio as a coffin. This
is his second coffin.
And before that, he said that one of his coffins was destroyed in a redirected mood from Louis. And you know what? Fuck you for that, Lestat. I know I mentioned it in the in the fucking reaction, but still fuck you. Why was he upset, I wonder?
Well, that was the thing, is the usage of the word redirected, because it makes it sound like he's trying to say he was angry about something else but was taking it out on Lestat.
Right,
you know?
And that's what I'm saying. Why was he upset? Why was he actually upset? I wonder why he would throw that out at you.
Yeah.
It's almost as if maybe you did something terrible. Interesting.
Yeah. And anyway, and but this is also his second coffin that he's mentioned, right? Like, the first coffin was the tour bus, and now this coffin is the recording studio. So kind of, shades of Louis, where's your coffin? You're standing in it,
I'm standing in it, yeah.
But yeah, that was a line where I was like, oh, okay, so he's not owning up to anything.
Not
at all.
And he still doesn't by the end of this. He has to redirect blame, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, he keeps doing that. Also, speaking of the recording studio, because we have these images, like these clips of him like recording, and he's wearing this red like suit thing, loungewear, and the recording studio is also red. And I'm just like, red on red in the episode where we're introduced to Marius, and we do get glimpses of Marius in like this red coat, which is like it's like Marius's color, and it's not even like something that's like hinted at. Marius straight up is like, red is my color. It's mine. And I'm pretty sure in like Blood and Gold he mentions being a little annoyed that like at a certain point, like, Lestat starts to wear a lot of red, and he's like, he knows that's my color. And I'm like, you don't own red.
I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So I'm just like, okay. But also, like, this episode, I think I had said in the reaction, is like, this is the parents episode.
Yeah.
So, like, Lestat being in, like, the patriarch colors, because you have Marius and his the patriarch, the final boss of white patriarchy, in his red uniform, and we have Lestat in that same uniform, and then we have, like, all the issues with moms going on here, and, you know, Louis is still experiencing the horrors. Self-inflicted horrors.
I was gonna say, you know, they're a little self-inflicted, but they're horrors nevertheless.
But I also find it interesting that there's, like, so many narratives here of, like, parents abandoning their children, and this one, it's a parent who can't let his child go. Like, he can't let this go, and in doing so, he's making the situation kind of worse. He's bringing other people into it, you know.
He's bringing other people into it, and then also it's not good for him. It makes it worse for him.
It's very unhealthy. In this same bit, speaking of parents doing crazy stuff, so everybody was fired, right? Like, they're not fired, but let go. And they faked, you know, they say in this exposition part that they faked Daniel, Dee, and Farid's deaths, which we'll circle back to that. So Sophia, Gabriella, has taken over as his manager, and so she is literally doing everything, right? So she's taking all of his calls, she's answering all of his emails, she's arranging everything he's going to do.
But it's kind of evil.
What do you mean? That is evil. I'm setting that up to be like, it's overbearing and evil.
That's just how I say. I always say kind of. Whatever.
No, it's because it sounded like you were saying that what I was describing wasn't evil, and I'm like, no, I mean for it to be evil.
No, it's evil, but yeah, it's for that reason, but also considering that taking Christine's place.
Oh yeah, Christine's death was also faked. I forget that, but also taking the Christine spot. When Christine has been in this weird space of, like, you know, she's technically his lawyer, and so she does take care of things for him legally, but, you know, in episode 3, like we mentioned in our discussion, he kind of calls her on her like a mom, like when he's like, Daniel's being mean to me, and she's just like, are you being mean to him? Stop it. And every time something happens, she's always, like, jumping in to defend him and being like, oh well, da 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 da, and, like, occupies that kind of mother space. But also they have a sexual relationship. And it's, once again, it's bad. Lestat sort of, like, looking for someone to, I don't know, offload these roles onto, because he knew he hired her before, you know, Gabriella came back into the picture.
Right.
So it's like him gravitating towards this sort of person that he can have that sort of relationship with, which is not good, and also
not good at all.
Yeah, it kind of continues with, like, the way that he treats women. He hires a lot of women that he then, like, starts sexual relationships with, so they're in, like, this bad position where it's like, and also he's obviously a vampire, so anyone he hires and brings into the inner circle is in danger because he could just kill them. Like, anyway, there's always that element there. But there was something I remember you wanted to talk about because of the Christine.
Yeah, I mean, because of that, and also because of the Regina fake Madeline kiss as well. And it's just that there's this weird consistent sexualization of all of these women, that, you know, there could be a conversation on, like, how maybe Lestat, you know, his misogyny is, this is how he, like, sees women. But then I'm like, then it doesn't really line up for me with Regina then, because she's an OnlyFans creator, which, you know, that's totally fine. You know, support. But it's the fact that like all these women are like so like heavily sexualized. I start to question the writers themselves and like what are you trying to do here? What are you trying to say? And there's things that maybe could be said, but I don't know if it's successful to me. And it's something that is definitely, I don't know, it's definitely bothering me as I've been watching. And I think that the Christine piece was kind of like the last straw. And honestly, it was the Regina Claudeline, that Claudeline kiss. I'm like, this is not in service of anyone. I mean, Louis doesn't want to see that shit.
The audience for this, yeah.
And especially since like people had been like, you know, begging for a Claudeline kiss, wishing that they had that. So then like them like interjecting it and making like it feels so much like two straight girls like kissing for
you
know someone else's gaze. It's kind of, I don't know, it's icky. It's not, it's weird. It's getting weird.
Yeah. But then like we were talking about it, like it's one of those things where I'm like, I say this about a lot of things. I'm like, I feel like I can see the intention behind the choice, but I feel like the execution on it, on a lot of the things, is not great. So like, yes, you know, Christine having a sex dungeon that's papered in billed invoices is a very on the nose, ham-fisted, you know, metaphor, or not, but for like the constant transactional sex and like this sort of thing.
And then like with Regina, like I can see why maybe they selected that, because trying to like have a through line with like Silly and then like Daniel being like, you just paid a whore to talk to you, blah, 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 and then like having Regina be like an OnlyFans creator. But like,
yeah, if it was just her, or like if it was a couple of characters, then it would be like
all the women, when all the women have this like super sexualized element to them, even the way that like they're doing like Gabriella, I still can't get over that scene in episode 3. Like I get why they put it now, I guess, but like it's still too much. The execution's still not working for me. And so I'm like, we talked about this last episode, but I'm like, I'm still not sure how much are you guys trying to say that this is like Lestat's POV. But I'm like, you can only Lestat POV this to like a certain point where I'm questioning your worldview, or the worldview that you're putting out with this season. So I'm, because like this past 2 seasons, there's an active conversation with all of these things, you know, like the various like intersections of marginalization and like how like women are treated and how, you know, exploitation looks and whatnot. And I feel like we're not as actively in conversation with these like social things, or at least I don't feel like there are hints of it, but then the execution with some of the things, I'm just like, I don't know about it. It's not as successful as the past 2.
Because to me it feels like, for me, because a lot of times in the previous 2 seasons, either it's addressed or the way that it's put forward makes it feel like you need to be questioning this. Right. Whereas like in this,
a lot of times it feels like a joke, or like,
I know. And I'm just like, what do you want? I've said this before, but I'm like, a lot of times I'll get a scene and I'm like, and it's not like I need them to spoon feed things to me. I don't need you like it. But there's times when I get a scene when I'm like, I don't know what their intention for me to react to this was. What was the intended reaction they wanted to elicit from the audience? Right. Like I come out confused because I'm like, this is how I'm taking this, but I can't with certainty say that this is what was intended. Like if I'm in opposition to the intention or if I'm writing along with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, I feel like on the one hand, I don't really take a lot of like outside, like if it's not in the episode, I don't give it as much weight as what is in the episode. So what people say about the episode or whatever, we want to do this, we want to do that. If it's not in the episode, it's not
that's
important.
not what you gave me. Yeah.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, so, but then I'll come away and be like, I don't know what this was supposed to be because I feel this way, but I don't feel like I was supposed to feel this way, you know? So,
yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, this was something we were like, we needed to.
No, because I had wanted to also talk about it back in our last episode with regarding like Regina and how I felt about her being like an only like fans creator. The routes taken, I just don't know. But yeah. So that, you know, that's it on that. Probably come back around. Oh, go ahead.
Oh wait, no, sorry, I was moving. I heard you say, and I just was like, oh yeah, also.
Yeah, and that also, this conversation also comes back around also to how like I still feel about how race is being handled in the show as well right now. And I'm just like, you can't give me what you gave me in season 1 and 2 and then
like rescind it.
Like, yeah, but whatever. What else we got?
I was also gonna say I do not know why they have chosen to continue moving forward with the vampire Sam is a relevant character because he no longer has a use outside of the Teatro de Vampirs, right? Because like he's supposed to be the vampire Samuel Beckett, but that only makes sense in a season that is using a device that directly references the theater of the absurd. I don't see the point of him in this. They should have killed him off. I know apparently people like him.
People like him?
I learned this at the New York event because I was like, oh yeah, it's Christopher Geary. And I was just like, oh, it's weird that he's here. And one of the people next to me said, oh, he has a huge following. And I was like, does he? The character. Not in my world. Not in the world I'm living in.
Yeah, same.
So, I don't know. There's a whole other world out there where people really liked him. But to me, he has no purpose outside of the... But all that to say, them bringing him up and Lestat being like, I hated him for the part he played in Paris. And I'm like, we still haven't addressed the part that you played in Paris.
Right.
And I don't... Once again, I don't know if it's one of these, like... It's because he hasn't owned up to it yet, so he's actively pushing it off on other people. It's Armand's fault. Not that it's not Armand's fault, but he's like, it's Armand's fault. It's Sam's fault. It's so-and-so's fault. But he hasn't also been like, it's also my fault. Like,
yeah, there hasn't been enough ownership over it, especially once we get to the end. I have I would be fine with where we were with this so far if it wasn't for the ending of this
I feel like in order to make this work, he needed to have already been more haunted.
Yeah.
Like if it was like constantly we have the specter of Claudia lurking in the background all the time, or like just here and he's just not addressing it, that would have worked a lot better than it being like she's not around.
Be right there next to Nikki, just in his face the entire time. That's what I needed.
I need it to be like, if you ever watched I have mixed feelings on this show now, but if you ever watched Haunting of Hill House and like every scene shot in the house there is a ghost, but like it's not pointed out to you, you just know that there's a ghost, and if you look carefully you can find it. That needed to be Claudia. In every single shot with Lestat, there needed to be a Claudia. Claudia needed to be there. Good. But you have to find her, you know, in the frame. But she is in every frame.
I would have loved that. Yeah. Because we'll get to my issues regarding that. But like, I do feel like, and see, I do have mixed feelings because the recording of like the Big Boss song when he like runs out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and
that's a
like
good bit.
Nikki's like, you know, as he's singing, who you decide, you know, who lives or dies, whatever the line is. I don't fucking remember his lines.
Who dies and who stays alive.
Yeah. But then Nikki's like yelling at him, and we know that like he
made the decision. He asked Armand to kill Nikki.
Exactly. So you're complicit. You're part of it. You're part of the reason why Nikki's dead. And so I feel like him like Nikki like confronting him, you know, in his mind at that moment while he's singing that does tie into his role in the trial and him trying to put everything off on Armand and even like Sam. Then that's the only thing I'm kind of holding on to. But also, then maybe we should have waited for this song where you're giving me your sad little song, and I'm like, well, I'm not buying it right now.
And also, like, the lines, I said this about the insults, but the way that the lines are phrased for like the rules also all apply to Lestat, right? Like, one, only the Big Boss gets to have fun. That was Lestat the whole time in New Orleans. Because I was going to say Rue Royale and New Orleans at the same time. And they just... and
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Roland? And then I hate these lines. They're so baby talk. But it's like if you're a boo-boo, then he doesn't want you. He killed Nikki because he went crazy, right?
Yeah.
He got rid of him. He got rid of Claudia, who was she wasn't made right. She was an incorrect vampire. She was a permanent child. So, like, he also did that.
He also, he was part of it in the trial, but he was going to do it at the end of the first season. He was going to trade her for Antoinette.
Yeah, and then don't write down his history. He got pissed about the book, and now he's causing a whole tantrum about it.
Right.
If you know him, then you won't know much more. He constantly was lying to everybody about his past. No one really knows what went on in his background. And then the last bit is like he decides who lives or dies. Like, he does that. So like all of
Lestat, you and Armand are twinning him, and that's why y'all both be beefing while also being like, you know, they kind of, I guess they kind of love each other. But that's why y'all be beefing, because y'all are
they're like two beta fish, you know?
You're the same person. You just go about things differently, but doing the same things.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, and I think that's why Lestat has the reaction to Armand that he does, because he sees all the bits about himself he doesn't like in him, and so he gets upset about it. But he does the same thing to Claudia as well. Like, everything he sees in him that he doesn't like, he punishes them for it because of the self-hatred. But like, I need this to be pushed, because so many people, I feel like it's not sinking in. And once again, I don't think you have to write to the lowest common denominator, because like it feels like a lot of people.
I don't want that.
I don't want that. I don't want the Netflixification of being like, and then we walked down the stairs. You know, like I don't need you to like be like, I feel this way because of this, that, and the other. But like, I just need it to be shot differently or executed differently or directed in a way. I don't need the lines to change. I need the framing to match up, you know?
There's some people out here who are like, who think that like Lestat had no participation in a trial. He's been forced to do it.
He hasn't.
They all love to like
mentioned it.
Armand, and I'm like, they are both guilty.
Throw
them in the jail.
Yeah, because like that also, you know, the one bit from the book that he keeps being like, this didn't happen, it's different. It's not that he participated in the trial. It's that apparently he feels like the train scene was different. He hasn't even mentioned the trial or like him doing anything about it. And every time Louis brought up, he's like, you still got on a boat and showed up to that. Lestat's just like, anyway.
Damn, that's crazy. Anyways,
that is crazy. So yeah, him having the audacity to be like, I hated Sam for his role in Paris, and it's just like, when are you? Maybe soon, maybe in the next two episodes, he will own up to his role in Paris, because it is his fault. It is his fault. And also another thing in this episode, we have another. We said we are going to go chronologically. It doesn't matter anymore.
Whatever.
Like. He continues to pass off responsibility by being like, the blood of Akasha made me crazy. And I'm like, no.
Kind of anti-black. How dare you say
It
that?
is.
This black woman's blood is making you turn into this violent
and the thing
person,
is,
but you were violent beforehand.
We literally see him like throw the record and destroy the record player. Exactly. And I think like if he's taking Marius's words at face value, because Marius is the one that's like, there's madness in this blood. Exactly. Like Marius is racist. Yeah. Like what I'm saying is like Marius is a part of this like white supremacist patriarchal structure that literally is like, he's like, I have to subdue her and keep her on the slab and only feed her ashes because otherwise she'll be able to speak for herself. She'll be able to walk around. She'll have agency now. And she won't be a thing that I can keep and, you know, be an idol of a woman as opposed to she's still alive. She is alive. This is not a tomb. This is not like a sarcophagus. This is a woman. And she's being forced to be in this state, this unconscious state. And it's like, yeah. So I feel like it's to me, and I don't care. Apparently someone said something else.
What?
I don't know, because people were like, oh, they said that it made him crazy. And I'm like, it didn't, though.
It just made him more powerful.
It made him more powerful.
When he reacts and gets angry, the destruction is much more like,
devastating.
Devastating, but
he
like,
still
you're the one doing
that.
These actions.
Yeah.
So you don't get to blame your white boy anger on
exactly
on
because like he's been blaming it on things because he was just like, because I think I had said in the first conversation, but we're not keeping it anyway, but like I was like, he said, you know, in season 1 I have my father's temper, in season 2 he says I have my maker's temper, and then here he's like, it's the blood of Akasha. But it's like, you do these things. You do these things. And like, and I don't want to seem like I'm diminishing abuse, but also I feel like he's also trying to hand off some of this to Gabriella as well. And I'm like, you're a grown-up. You're a grown-up. And I understand that like she has this what's it called? Like, not power, but like influence over you because of your history together, because of like this dynamic that's been fostered. But at the end of the day, you are a grown man who can say no to his mother, you know? At the end of the day, that's got to be a choice that you make to say no, especially if you don't agree with it or if you know it's wrong. You can say no, and she can't make you. You have the blood of Akasha in you. You know, she can't make you do anything. Because I have a feeling that he's going to try and pass off other stuff, because she showed up after he got his neck cut, and then he goes to Paris shortly after that. And I'm just like, I don't know if he's going to try and be like, oh, well, my mom, you know, made me do this. And I'm like, she didn't, because you had time to think about it on the journey over, you know? Like, I don't know. I feel like he
even when you got there, you could have been like, damn, this is crazy. Let me just warn Louis and Claudia. Let's get them out of here.
Yeah, what happened to, you could just show up and be like, hey, I know this is kind of crazy, but
I know you want to fucking see me, but
I know, but you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And you know, that would have been the best thing he ever did for those people. For these, you know. But yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to think. Next after this, we talked about him, but we meet Marius for real.
Fuck you, Marius.
Yeah.
All my homies hate Marius.
Yeah. You keep looking at me. But I really am impressed with how Christopher Heyerdahl was able to, like, in the 5 minutes he has as Marius, I was like, that's Marius, you know? Because also considering how much
Already
lore
irritating.
changed, he's irritating. He has that like condescending teacher energy
Right.
that he needs to have. And you know, some people are saying he felt out of character. I don't feel that way. Especially when
he had
like
all the ingredients.
he had all the ingredients. All the ingredients were there. When Lestat was like, "How did I get here?" and he's like, "Thank you for pulling me out of the earth. Thank you for giving me the blood and reviving me."
Damn, let a guy figure out what the fuck is going on before
I
he
know.
starts.
And like and also I feel like him, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in a different context, but I feel like him calling Armand rotten boy is not out of character. Some people are like, he would never.
Oh,
yeah, he would.
It's very in
Yeah,
character.
he would. He called him worse in the book.
Right.
Like, he called, because people are like, maybe he would call Armand that, but not Amadeo. You don't know the things he said to Amadeo. Oh, you don't know the things he said. Honestly, rotten boy is the least thing he could have said about him that would be still canon.
But it is it's so disrespectful.
It's
of
very
him.
disrespectful.
Like, the fact that he still is like referring to grown ass Armand, because he turned Armand when he's like in his older 20s.
He's
still
27.
calling him a boy, which is so
allegedly
racialized.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry.
Which is like so
Yes.
racialized, and but and then also describing him as something that's rotten, like.
Absolutely. Because I also feel like, and I've always thought this, that Armand would be perfect for the keeper role. He would be perfect for it. You give him an object of devotion to take care of in perpetuity, Akasha would never be better taken care of. Are you kidding me? He would have been perfect at it. But Marius is like, he's not worthy of it. And then he sees this guy who
he's like, wow, blue eyes,
blonde hair,
blonde and blue eyes. Wow.
Yeah, the first things he says, he's like, blue eyes, blonde hair, which honestly, Magnus parallels. And he's like, you're worthy of this role. And I'm like, you don't know anything about Lestat, because you would know this is not the job for him. Stay put in silence.
Oh, he doesn't know how to do
and like
that.
Lestat even says like, I don't really like being alone. And I was just like, yeah. And now you gotta watch this statue. It's like, this person who effectively is a statue who will only talk to you every so often.
Yeah. Well, talk to him immediately though, because you're not shit, Marius.
Yeah, that was very in character to me, like in lore accuracy of like Marius being like, it took her 22 years to talk to me, and then the minute he steps out the door, she's like, it took me 23, and it's immediate because like in the book,
God, that bitch is gone.
Yeah, especially in like Queen of the Damned, you definitely, and also in the Vampire Lestat, honestly, because like Lestat does immediately like have this connection with Akasha, and Marius is like, okay, interesting. She's never done that for me.
Yeah, maybe because you fucking suck.
Yeah.
You're not a good guy. You're not a good person. Not saying that, Lestat's the best person in the room, but you know what? Marius,
there's certain things he hasn't done.
Immediately.
Yeah. So then we have like, and then like the other thing, which is what's up with Enkil's body, right? Because it's apparently he was left in the sun, and we do have corroboration from Lestat. Why is his head
bashed in? Why is his leg broken? What is going on?
He doesn't look burned. He looks battered.
Right.
And I was like, who hit him?
What happened?
Because I was also thinking there's a bit later in like the big Akasha monologue when she's talking about like why, something about like, and why with his fists, and like why with, whatever, that there's a bit in Blood and Gold where Marius gets really frustrated that Akasha isn't speaking to him, and he just starts hitting her, like bashing his fists on her, on like her chest and whatnot, like punching her.
Needs to do something about this man,
because he's like, speak to me, like why I'm doing all of this for you. I've devoted my whole life to you, and you're not speaking to me.
No one gives a fuck.
Exactly.
Die. Go away. God, I wish. I already said this, but I wish she could kill him. They're not gonna let her.
He's very important. But yeah, so we have that bit, and like, but also because one of the things that Marius also says to Akasha when he, like, as Lestat is waking up and walking into the scene, is he's like, he loves his mother. So it's just like seeing if he can like offset this devotion for his mother to the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she's a mother who will always be there. She's a mother who will never leave. And Lestat's like, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. But yeah, and so then just bopping around. And
like,
then
look at this thing.
I know this a person like already like edited like the Ariel from Little Mermaid. Look at this stuff.
Oh really? That's
yeah.
funny.
It's like, look at it. But yes, but then that's like contrasted with when we get back to Gabriella in the present day, and Lestat is starting to like question his relationship with her.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, straight up is like, why did you leave me? And she's kind of like, which time? Which is not great. And then she kind of like flippantly talks about probably the first time, which was when he was 3 years old and he was doing toddler things, you know, bringing her sticks, and she was just like tired of having to pretend like she was interested, so she just left. And I'm like, he's 3.
He's a boy.
He's just a baby. But she was like, I was so sick and tired of it. And Lestat was like, says like, you were a terrible mother. And she's like, yeah. And she kind of takes like pleasure in it. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to be like, I see her point of view, but like
there's a sadness to it when you're forced
because she's
to, like,
yeah.
This is
she
why
didn't want this kid. She didn't want any of her kids, and she was forced to be a mother, and so part of her takes like a little bit of like a joy in not being a mom, and like being a bad mom to them because she's rejecting this role that she didn't get to choose.
Right.
But also, Lestat didn't choose to be born.
Exactly.
He didn't choose to be born.
The thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, yes, you didn't deserve to be forced to have these kids, but also these kids don't deserve to be raised in this home, you know, where it's either being physically abused by the father or being emotionally and later sexually abused by their mother. Like, these are the two options in this house. And that's not any environment. They're both bad. And yeah, and then they have like this song in the background saying make more and whatever, and then Lestat kind of like pulls away from their interaction and is just like, how's this? Well, because she also says something I think is really important too for like how she justifies part of their relationship, which is when she's like, I didn't need you anymore in Spain, which is when she dips, and you don't need someone who doesn't need you. Like trying to be like, Lestat, if she had stayed around, it would have also been bad for Lestat because you don't need someone around. If you need someone but they don't need you, that's not a good situation. So she's like, I was also helping you by leaving because you don't need to have someone who doesn't need you. And she says like, it breaks the circle. And I'm like, this like mutual benefit that you can gain out of it. So when she stops benefiting from the situation, she leaves until she can come back and benefit, and then she leaves and then comes back. And that's not healthy, and that's not good. And
that's not how relationships are supposed to work.
No. And because like also she knows that Lestat will always need her. So when she leaves and comes back, he like throws himself back into the relationship and will do anything to keep her for longer, and then she leaves again because she doesn't She doesn't really need him at all, honestly, but she can sometimes find a benefit. And then Lestat's kind of just like, how's this? Is this working for you? Is the song, does it satisfy the, you know, whatever your vision? And then is like, because he's starting to resent this as well. So
As he should.
as he should. But yeah, so we have these contrasting mother situations here. And I also feel like even Akasha being the mother of vampires, she didn't choose that role either.
Right.
She didn't choose to be a vampire. She didn't know what a vampire was.
Right.
She was the first. And she didn't choose this. Oh my God! Speaking of which, she didn't choose a spirit of Amel. I forgot at the top. Lestat refers to himself as Amel.
Mention it.
I got caught up with the everything else.
Yeah, there's
once
a
again,
lot.
too much
There's
happened.
so much.
So, Amel, that is. I just elbowed this guitar. Amel. For people, I would love to know how people who haven't read any of the books like are taking that, because they mention Amel a lot in this episode, but they do not explain anything about Amel. Which in the book, for people who haven't read it, there is like what to me felt like a 500-page diversion where Marius is just telling about his whole life. He's like, you may be wondering how I got here. Let's get into it. And I was like, my God, I'm gonna die. But he basically like talks about how he became a vampire and how that was tied to Akasha and all of that. And he gets the story from the previous keeper about what they know about Akasha's turning, like how she became the mother of vampires, and basically she's possessed by a spirit called Amel, who is like a spirit of hunger. So it makes her crave the blood, and it was really strong at first, and so she started to feed on people and turn them to get some of the blood out of her. Whoa. So yeah, so she like was drinking the blood because she was hungry, and then she was giving the blood away to start to get that spirit of Amel out of her, which she creates a bunch of vampires at first. So technically all vampires are tied to the spirit of Amel. There's more about how Amel even got here, but that's Queen of the Damned. That's a different let's sit down and exposition dump chapter, split up into 2 parts, which I was like, thank you, it's not one long bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so however, in one of the later books, I think it's Realms of Atlantis, but it also might not be. But it's one of those like later era Prince Lestat book things that Lestat gets possessed by the spirit of Amel, and things go too crazy. That's when we have alien issues and we can't get into the aliens. We can't talk about the Replomoids.
Oh, Jesus.
We can't. But Lestat does possess the spirit of Amel. So I was just like,
hello?
What is happening, and why is he referring to himself as Amel?
Right.
So I guess we'll find out more in season 4 why he's calling himself Amel. But that is crazy. But it also makes me think of, and I don't remember, there was a bit in one of the After Darks I watched. I haven't been watching them for the past couple episodes, so it must have been like the first 3, because those are the ones I watched. That they were talking about, they're like, yeah, you know, the difference is like Louis was telling his story to Daniel, so it's very collaborative, but Lestat's doing it all on his own. And then he's doing it and he's by himself. And then Sam was like, well, maybe not by himself. And he's like, wait, I can't say that. So I'm just like, what does that mean? And is this tied to Amel?
What does that mean?
I don't know what that means.
What do you mean by that, Sam?
What do you mean by that? Speak on that.
Yeah. Elaborate.
So anyway, all that Amel stuff is like super crunchy lore, and so the fact that it was just thrown in here is kind of insane. I will say though, I would never in a million years say that I miss the Marius exposition dump chapter.
I know.
However, there is a lot of info in that chapter that is very important to Queen of the Damned. So the fact that it isn't there does make me think, how are we going to get this information? Because it's not even just like the formation, like how Akasha came to be. We also have more info about Santino and Mayel and the whole God of the Grove thing, which is important for the character Jesse Reeves in Queen of the Damned. Like having that info be out there is really important, especially it doesn't need to be like out there, but she's Talamasca, so she has access to files. So if she gets the collection of the failures and pre-listens to it and hears the name Santino and hears the name Mayel, that's really important to her as a character. Like she needs to have Lestat talking about that because it kicks off her part of the story. And I personally can't see a version of Queen of the Damned that doesn't have Jesse Reeves. Like Jesse Reeves is very important.
Okay.
They gotta keep her. I love her.
Yeah. I'm so nervous now.
That was the big thing I was thinking about.
I forgot all about that.
No, it was top on my mind because I'm like, he needs to name drop Mayel. He needs to name drop Santino because of her backstory and it being like, now, this can't be a coincidence that this vampire is mentioning these two people these two people match the description given. And I had a weird encounter with both of them like 15 years ago. In the weirdest summer of my life. So I don't know what's happening with that, especially because like the Talamasca has been so prominent since season 2. Like you can't you need to give me Jesse Reeves. If I have to suffer through Raglan James, you have to give me Jesse Reeves, you know?
Right.
So
hopefully. And I would assume it's going to be better than anything Queen of the Damned the movie gave us. So
yeah,
it'll be fine.
It's gotta be, because just for people who have only seen the Queen of the Damned movie, Jesse Reeves is not a Lestat love interest. She doesn't care about that man. She cares about him like academically because of, and also what it means for her personally that he mentioned these people, because she also didn't really believe he was actually a vampire. She thought that he was a faker, but then he mentioned these things and she was like, he might be a vampire. 2, I might have spent a summer with 2 vampires. I have to meet this guy to verify if he is a vampire, because if he is a vampire, I have more questions. I gotta get into this now. And also she is the descendant of Maharet, who is directly, has a whole thing with like Akasha, but when Akasha says like, why is her tongue ripped out, that's Makere. Makere had her tongue ripped out by Akasha, but that's neither here nor there. Makere got her tongue ripped out, Maharet got her eyes taken, and then they were turned into vampires. And the fun fact about vampires, you can put a human tongue on there and it lasts for a good amount of time. And also human eyes, you can pop human eyes into your eyeball, your sockets, and you got some eyes for a little bit.
There you go, Armand.
Just steal some eyes. It should be easy. But anyway, so yeah, all that to say, there's a lot of bits. It feels like we got a lot, but then there were things that we were missing that made me be like, where does that leave us? We
have 2 episodes. Maybe it'll still...
Yeah, but maybe it'll come up. I don't know. Well, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Because apparently Justin Kirk, who plays Raglan James, talked about spending time on set with Christopher Heyerdahl, but Justin Kirk was not in episode 5, but also we know he's not in episode 6 either, which means Marius may come back up in episode 7, and I don't know in what capacity. But maybe we'll get some more info that's important.
Something bad, something evil, more than likely.
Yeah, probably. Next. Oh, wait. Sorry, not to jump. I feel like we're talking about so much. It's the opposite. But with the rotten boy thing, something I did want to talk about
Mhm.
that is a lot of baggage with the rotten boy. Of course, obviously the racial baggage, but it makes me
Right.
think of in the book one of the reasons that Marius said that he didn't go back for Armand after he got taken by the Children of Darkness was that he had spent so long trying to instill this like enlightened atheist philosophy in Armand and saw Armand's past like his religious background as a weakness of where he's from, a weakness of mind. Yep. And in the book, he's Christian. Like, in the book, Armand is a white boy from Ukraine. So, like, he's just Eastern Orthodox Christian.
Mhm.
But they still point out the Eastern exotic nature of Eastern
Right.
Orthodoxy because, like, they do the cross differently and they point that out. I don't know. There's certain things where they're just like, he's kind of backwards for all this. And so, like, there's a yeah. So
Can
there
only
is like
imagine what's gonna be with this.
I can only imagine. But there's like a whole bit where like Marius is talking to Lestat that he's like, we're enlightened, you and I, because we don't believe in God. Armand fell to religion and therefore he has been lost to me. Basically, he's like, he's a lost cause because he got broken down by Santino and his cult. So in a way,
Like,
you know, thinking of the
okay, so
usage
he
of
was
the word
abused
rotten.
so much that you left him. You didn't even go back to get him and save him.
Exactly. Especially because he knew or whatever, we can't get him. But like there's like the idea of like rotten, which is like at one point it wasn't and now it has rotted. So this usage of the word rotten, there's also one of the reasons that Marius in Blood and Gold says that he chose Armand at the very beginning was because he felt that Armand was already dead. And he was trying to make like the perfect vampire, but then he feels like he's still messed up. Like he's just like Armand was too wrong. But he chose him because he was like he basically has been dead this whole time, you know, in a way. So when I think of the word rotten as well in this context of like decayed, you know, and I'm just like I immediately thought of and there's a bit where it's kind of implied that it's purposeful that like Marius leaves his journal out open and Amadeo's like, let me take a peek because it was open. And the page that's open, he describes Amadeo as being a funereal spirit like possessing a child and Armand cries. Like it's very like he's just like the idea that like Marius sees him as like a specter, something already dead that's just pretending to be a child, you know.
Mhm.
It makes him very sad. So, yeah. Anyway, all of that came back to me. And also this like encouraging of Lestat to see Armand this way as well. Because
Right.
what does he make Armand at his little dinner table
A
party?
rotten piece of
A
bread.
rotten piece of bread. And it's like this encouragement to be like haha point and laugh or like you know like to pile more onto Armand but yes anyway there's a really interesting dynamic between Marius, Lestat, and Armand of like somehow Lestat being the golden boy. Like it's why I kind of refer to them as brothers. Like they are pitted against each other by Marius like brothers would be. And they both want to impress him. And it's as if it's a whole can of worms.
Yuck. Okay. Anyways, moving
Yuck.
along.
Next, we have Virginia and Louis and everything they're getting up to.
Please. Okay, so I already talked about the Regina Claudeline kiss thing. That not good. But God, this is it's so upsetting.
It's very upsetting.
And watching Jacob Anderson is such a wonderful actor. I love how he's able to just like portray
Disgust.
disgust and hurt and
Yeah.
grief all just like mixed together, and it's just because like
Yeah.
this is going on, and you know, but Louis not actually having a good time. This is not helping. It's not fixing.
Yeah.
It's not fixing. It's not. You can't put a band-aid on grief. It doesn't work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something we had kind of talked about a little bit was like one of the potential, like, every woman, it feels like, is shoved into the box of mother, lover, or daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them fit it well, you know? Like, obviously, you have Gabriella is the most obvious one. But, like, with this, where it's like he meets Regina and is like, you could be my daughter. You could be a daughter. But, like, obviously, it doesn't fit because she isn't. And she doesn't really want to be his daughter.
Right.
This is purely financial for her. Like, this is something she does to then, you know, pay off some debt or some to make to make payments that she, you know, she needs this money.
Right.
But, you know, she doesn't have an emotional connection to Louis. And I think that's why a lot of times it feels like there's misreads on what Louis wants from this thing. Because I think I had said to you yesterday when we were rewatching that it's like, it would be less weird if it was a fetish. But it's kind of more weird that he's just like, I want you to actually just pretend to be my daughter and we're just going to go to the park. You know? Like, it's harder to understand what he's looking for from this whole thing.
From her perspective, she's like,
yeah.
What the fuck? Like, who does that?
Exactly. Well, who does that?
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of what we were talking about earlier today. And I was discussing, I think, why I enjoy these, like, these explorations of parental grief, even though I don't ever want to have children myself, but I find them really interesting and like really compelling. And I think part of it is because losing a child is kind of unnatural. Like, you're not supposed to, you expect for your child to pass after you, right? And so it's already not right. It's like something that's like very wrong. It's wrong. And so, like you mentioned, like that means like the responses to it and how you try to like combat this grief, especially in these like very really like much more dramatized versions, you know, in horror and whatnot. The solutions are also unnatural. The ways they try to, you know, deal with the grief are wrong.
Yeah, and like something we also, or I thought about, was like there's the line in the book Interview with the Vampire where Louis is talking about, you know, parents and children, and he's like, daughters are always immortal to their fathers because the father dies first. And so, like, yeah, like you were saying, there is this like, parents aren't supposed to see the child die, so the child is functionally immortal. Like, the child will live on forever as far as they're concerned. And that's something, and in the case of like Louis and Claudia, they're both supposed to be immortal. They're supposed to have gone through existence together forever. And so on top of like the inherent immortality of children to their parents, because the child is supposed to outlive the parent, there's the implied inherent immortality of being a vampire, and both these things were subverted by Claudia being killed when she's killed.
And I can't help thinking about also how, like, since it was also in such a racialized way, usually Black parents, even like to the modern day, constantly, you have to be concerned every single time your child walks outside a door, because you don't know what's going to happen to them, and you don't know if they're going to make it back. And, but yeah, Louis and Claudia were immortal. That was supposed to surpass that. But then we come back around to what we've talked about since like season 1, season 2, that unfortunately vampirism doesn't like save you from the impacts and the things that happen to us because you're Black. The things that we experience, we can't like.
Yeah.
It doesn't. This vampirism doesn't save you.
And you don't get to opt out.
And so there's just all these layers to it.
Yeah. And there's something interesting about the phrasing and then the way that the scene plays out when they're doing the little like swan boat thing. And like she says, make me a stone. Because we've already seen Akasha be a stone earlier. And then what Louis does when she's frozen is he holds her hand. And it made me immediately think of the line of like the simple joy of her hand in mine. But he holds her hand and he's like, it's not her hand.
Right. Something's wrong.
And him, first of all, like turning her into stone, turning her into an idol, essentially, and then holding her hand, seeking something from it, and not finding it here. So it's like Regina has taken on, because I feel like also he's sainted Claudia, he's idolized Claudia, and idolization is a type of dehumanization as well. So like doing this and then putting Regina in this place and then almost, I don't want to say getting upset, but like thinking less of her when she doesn't hit the ideal, because when he talks about her with Lestat later, when he's like her eyes didn't have a spark, it's like that's really weird to say.
That's crazy.
That's really weird, because it's just because she isn't Claudia, so she's can't be an ideal. She can't be this like object for devotion that you need her to be, and so you are saying she doesn't have the spark in her eye that would make her Claudia. And it's like, yeah, but she's a whole other person with a whole different life.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And, it's really interesting to me. And then, of course, things
get so bad.
Things get out of hand, and so he has to call.
I need to know for sure. I feel crazy.
And like on top of it,
yeah.
And I think so adding into the everything that's bad about the contact name that Lestat has for Louis,
that shit pissed me off.
Yeah, because it's a reference to the 17th century. It's like it came out in the early 1600s, but I don't remember the exact year, so I'm just saying 17th century play, 'Tis Pity She's a Whore, which is about a brother and sister who fall in love. The sister becomes pregnant with the brother's child. It's a whole thing, and then it ends with cannibalism. And part of it, to me, is along with that. I mean, of course, there's the Lestat always slut-shaming Louis when he has the audacity to breathe in another man's...
But then also is like, but he's also a prude. And I'm like, what is your problem?
Many such cases. Like, but also it ties into the way that throughout all of season 1, the way that he viewed Louis and Claudia's relationship, that Claudia was a homewrecker. Claudia was trying to take Louis from him by having it be the title of this incestuous relation between brother and sister. But what that also does, if you call Louis brother and sister, Lestat is the father. So we have him back in the patriarchal role there, that he takes and disavows whenever it suits him. He's the father, and then he's not. He's Louis's maker, and then he the maker with the implied parent, to it, and then he's his husband. But yeah, so like there's the constant contradiction of like, what are they to each other, and it's like murky at the end of the day of like how the boxes that they do and don't fit into. But yeah, that, and it's kind of crazy. That's a crazy reference to to have.
Very rude.
Very
needs to watch himself.
rude. And then he, shows up and is once again being very petty because he's just like, I got shot and you didn't call. And I love Louis saying, I knew you were going to bring that up.
Right.
He's just like, yeah, I knew you were going to be upset about that. And he's like, I was caught up in my own thing. I have something else going on, obviously. But like, I think Louis, to me, him calling himself selfish is also him just trying to skip through whatever tantrum Lestat's gonna have by just being like, yeah, whatever, I'm selfish. Can you go in there and check on her? Like, see if this is what I'm talking about?
I still hate it though.
It's bad.
I still hate it, especially when regarding Lestat.
Yeah.
Like, Louis does nothing but give these men chances, does nothing but like compromise for them. And you've been talking all this shit about him.
Mm-hmm.
Got him in your fucking phone with a crazy ass name, and you think that he needs to fucking come check on you?
Yeah.
Fuck you. You fucking dropped him from the fucking sky and dipped. Like, I don't
exactly.
I don't give a fuck. What's that? Plus, you got shot. Louis got shot and was like, you can reload.
Exactly. And like, that makes me think
You're
of
being a dramatic bitch.
Season 1, when like Louis was like, yeah, I slit his throat, I killed him. And then like Daniel straight up was just like, you got shot, and like walked it off. I'm supposed to believe that this guy who's like stronger than you couldn't take getting his throat slit.
Right.
It's just like, you got shot with a gun.
Like,
you were literally fine you healed on the bus ride. Like, it wasn't even a big deal. You might as well have gotten like a paper cut. And also the fact that he's like, I'm in the middle of recording my album, because he's like so self-absorbed and he thinks this album actually matters. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? The only person who cares about this album is you. And I guess Gabriella.
She's like, we got a timeline.
Yeah, she's like, keep to the schedule. But then also, like, at the beginning of that bit, when he's like doing the recording for and he says like, why did you take me to the witch's place? And Sam's like, who are you talking to? And he's just like, Sophia. And he's like, she left already. And like, I don't know. There's something about like that bit where it's just like, where are you getting off to? Like, this is supposed to be like the only thing that you're doing right now, and still whatever. But
yeah, I just, in general, I'm tired of Louis apologizing to these men. He needs to not apologize to them. They don't need or deserve apologies.
No.
And they, yeah, that's all I gotta say. Stop making Louis do it. I know that he's, oh my god, he's always feels guilty. He's always, blah blah blah. Enough.
Yeah, he needs to be evil.
Yeah, when does he? I want him to be evil now.
It needs to be his turn.
Everyone else gets to be evil. It's his turn.
Yeah, and the whole thing with, I genuinely feel like these like reflections he's have, like we already talked about, he should have been haunted by Claudia a lot earlier, because if he had been haunted this whole time and then this episode happens, it would have had more emotional weight. Right. Because like there's the whole thing of like, has he earned, I'm like, I don't think there's anything that Lestat could do that could make any grief he expressed about Claudia feel like he's allowed to have it, in my opinion.
Right.
But what it needs, it would have meant more, because it would have felt like he was actively suppressing this rather than, I still feel like he may have been, but we need to be shown that he's actively suppressing it.
There's not too much like happening off screen, or just like the slightest like hints of it, and I'm like, I need more, because it just doesn't work for me. It's the reason why I felt how I did about episode 8 of season 2. I'm like, it doesn't feel deserved yet. Like, I need to see that remorse. Like, so him being like, oh, all sad about it now. I'm like,
You should have been sad
You should have
about
been
it
sad about
earlier.
this whole entire time.
Yeah.
You abused her, you know? Like, she's the reason why they were in Paris in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, I need to see that for me to feel that the emotions are justified. Otherwise, it doesn't feel satisfying to me.
Yeah.
So that was a big problem for me, which is probably why I don't know what you cut for that.
I cut a lot of it because we were just sitting there like this.
I was just sitting here because I'm
for
like,
all of it.
I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything because it doesn't feel earned yet. We have to get to that, and I should have been seeing that already. The way that we know that Louis is haunted by Claudia, he's been haunted by her the whole entire fucking time since season 1. But that's why like the emotions work here for him. Because we've been seeing the guilt he's felt. We've been seeing how he's haunted by her, but I haven't seen that for Lestat. So starting to get emotional, seeing Regina, seeing this person who looks exactly like the Claudia in front of you, and then later the song that you're like writing. I'm like, it feels out of place.
Yeah,
like we're not there yet. We got to get there, and then it'll work. I mean, I still won't feel bad for you because you still abused her. So like, I won't care personally, but at least I will feel that emotion is earned, and I'll be like, yeah, this works.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, okay, I keep feeling when we were talking about how much happens off screen, it feels like not to like compare it to like Shakespeare, but like have you ever had the moment when you're watching a Shakespeare play where they like come in and they tell you something crazy that happened off screen? Like, oh! Like in Hamlet when like they come back like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern got killed by pirates, and we're like, what?
Hello?
That happened over there though, and we don't see it. But like, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, yeah, they kidnapped Hamlet and they shipped him off, but then he got away. And it's like, we're told that this all happens on stage by a random third party. Like, that's how some of, like, a lot of this ends up feeling, you know? Right. And it's just like, it to me feels like, I hate to be like in a negative way, I can tell they're playwrights, but it's like what you would do if you didn't have the budget in a play. You're like, we'll just say it happened. Over there. But this is a TV show. You can show a lot of things. But yeah, there's a lot of things. I also feel like they're writing this show this season like they have 15 episodes, you know? Like if they took all of this and it was stretched out, it would be better. But it's like they took a 15 episode arc and were like,
just,
like, it's
everything's
very
like this. So you don't get to sit with anything.
I'm like, why are we running?
Yeah.
Like,
why do you write like you're running out of time?
Yeah.
Sorry. You know, I had a Hamilton pass, but that was in the past, and I am healed.
Well, I don't know. We brought it up twice.
Well, sometimes it comes up every now and then, but for the most part, I'm healed. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then, let me see. We get to, like, the whole thing where they're like, this whole time we've had, like, weird stuff with Alex. Yeah. We'll get to that because it's relevant here. But this whole time, things have been weird with Alex, obviously. The things that when they were like, he was a vegan and straight edge, and then they mentioned he's eating meat and drinking again. He's drinking in the recording booth constantly. I don't know if he's always drinking.
What's happening?
Exactly. And so then when he talks to Larry, because Larry keeps getting berated he always gets berated by Lestat, but he's getting hit harder about it, you know, like he's the one that he keeps picking on. Which I don't know if it's related to the fact that Lestat says that Larry is supposed to be his frailty, so he keeps bullying him. But anyway, what does that even mean? And so Larry's once again like moping about all this, and like Alex comes up and starts having this whole conversation, and during it, we were like, oh, this is Armand. Because he's just like, you should rest. And we were like, oh, God.
Fuck.
I don't care. I want him to kill these people. I said this a while ago. At the end of our episode 4 conversation, I was just like, he's got to kill these bandmates. I'm sick of them.
To be honest, I have been wanting to see more of actual gremlin Armand.
Exactly.
He's not being a gremlin to, you know...
I love when he does violence against white people.
Exactly. Thank you for saying it for me. I know
Exactly.
I said it to you.
I'll say it out loud.
You can't keep saying it, you know?
No. Especially, I don't care about any of these people. I was like so excited when he killed Larry. But yeah, so anyway, Larry's like, I'm splitting because he's sick of this. And and then the other two, the other 3 are like, make us vampires, because Lestat's like, you need to have vampire ears to hear what I'm trying to do. And I'm just like, okay. Especially because, like, I don't know if this is a confirmed theory, but it's always been my thing, where I say my thing because I remember making the post about it first, and then I see it everywhere now, which is the vampires can't make art.
Like, actually.
I don't necessarily want to claim that I was the originator, but I remember being the first person I saw talking about it, and then I started seeing other people talk about it. So I don't know. But anyway, like, if that's the case, and they're just like, we can't have human ears, it can only be vampire ears. I'm like, to make bad songs, that people don't like, anyway. But yeah, so then anyway, they're turning the rest of the band. I was like, who cares? But I feel like for at least Gabriella, it feeds into her great conversion plan.
Hyped.
She's like, great, we get to have more. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Larry is being sad at the train station, and Armand shows up and is like, you should rest.
He looks so tired.
Mm-hmm.
What if you
And also, okay, to talk about Armand, yeah, because then he makes him walk in front of the train, which also is kind of crazy because it's like he's been wearing him down, or at least like he was in Alex's head, because like the thing about Armand is that like all of his powers when it's like this to me come down to what he said to Louis when he's like, I find the vulnerability within the object.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like he was working on it through Alex, his brother, this whole time, trying to figure out where the vulnerability in Larry was, so that when he finally sat down with him and said rest, he had the button to press to make him kill himself. But yeah, talking about Armand, speaking of which, that's not the first time we see him mind control someone this episode, because he used another vampire as like a microphone, basically, because he can't talk to Daniel anymore using the mind gift, because he's his maker, as he said. So he used this guy who that vampire looked crazy. That vampire looked like he fell into a costume studio, like the like costume department, and ran out wearing one of everything. Like, his hair was crazy. It looked like a wig. I couldn't tell. He had the big glasses and then the strange outfit. I don't know. This man felt like a randomized sim. Like, he was weird to me. But anyway, he basically, then is like, Daniel, you're not answering my calls.
Why don't you answer your mom anymore?
Yeah,
like
I got it.
You've been shit for the past 2 years.
You went out to get milk and you never came back.
But I've changed, Daniel.
I've changed since then. But yeah, so anyway, they meet at the park, and there's also the implication that, like, I say implication. Armand says basically that he, not too long after letting him go, was going to find him again and kill him for real. And then he was like,
he's going to go behind Louis' back and be like, I'm still going to kill you anyways.
But then he was like,
he's like,
this guy up to some crazy.
There's something wrong with this guy.
Yeah, there's something wrong with this guy. I gotta, Louis, you'll never believe what's going on with this guy. So, and like, we kind of had
a TV show for you.
Yeah, their favorite
Rest.
TV show, Daniel. What happened in the latest episode of Daniel? So like, yeah, so Armand's been following him for these past like 52 years, and then reporting back to Louis about everything he saw, and like, there is a thing that is dropped in this that is crazy, where it's like I guess he wasn't a professor because he was doing a reading, you know. So he was doing some reading of one of his books, and then I'm gonna say very lightly takes advantage aggressively, and Armand wipes that boy's memory, make sure he gets home safe, which is a very uncomfortable whole thing, honestly. But it's also the second time we have Armand pulling on instances of Daniel committing sexual misconduct, I suppose.
That everyone seems to be fine with, apparently.
Yeah, but it is crazy. And then, you know, him also talking about things that he did that were not cleaning up his messes, but where he's like, I guided you to the Rothko Chapel and let you cry there when your daughter was like, you know, didn't want him at her graduation. And I was like, the Vampire Mom should take me to the Rothko Chapel and let me cry for 30 minutes uninterrupted. But I guess Daniel gets to have everything. But anyway, should have been me, not him. Anyway,
I was also when Larry dies, I was like,
should have been you.
Not that he did. No. No.
Wait, let me follow this thread. Go back. Say it again.
When Armand, you know, has Larry, like,
yeah.
I was at the end of it, I was like, you know, if I was Larry, I would come back in the afterlife and be like, so I didn't get like the nice like hug and being talked to really, like smoothly. That fucking Daniel. Why does Daniel get every fucking thing? What about me? Like, I feel robbed. I feel robbed of the experience.
Exactly.
Like, at least, you know.
But then also during this whole thing, when he's talking to Daniel, he says something. It's another moment where Armand says something about someone else, and I'm like, that's about you, though. Where he's like, he's
fucking same.
Where he's like, you know, he's methodically cruel. I'm like, you're methodically cruel.
I'm like, watch your fucking
It's
mouth.
also like in season 2 when he called Daniel an eager black hole. That's you. That is you.
That's the thing. That's the thing about these guys. They love to point the finger and be like, damn, this guy.
Person's like.
I'm like, that's literally.
You literally describing yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so he's doing this. I think it feels like he's throwing out a lot. He's throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall when it comes to Daniel and seeing what sticks, you know?
Right.
So he's just like trying to sow seeds between Daniel and Louis by being like, he knew that I was following, like, you know, basically being like, we just kind of let you fail. I guess we didn't let you die, but we let you fail and have all these things. We didn't intercede to make you not ruin your own life. We let it happen, and then we talked about it. We took notes and we shared afterwards. And he kind of, I guess, feels like a little toy that they were just like, you know, he is their sim that they were just watching and letting things happen to.
What'd you say? They're Tamagotchi.
They're little Tamagotchi. Yeah, for sure. And then also he's like, I want to be your maker. I want to be your father. I know I've been absent, but I really want to you know, have a place in your life. Also, Lestat is in a relationship with his mom. Well, he tries to be coy about it. He's just like Lestat and Sophia, when he's just like, love between vampires can be many things, or whatever. And then he's like, what does that mean? And he's just like, I knew her as Gabriella. Lestat lays with his mother. I could teach you how to walk in the sun. And then Daniel's like,
it's so irritating.
wait. Okay, so okay.
Wait.
So,
Yeah.
yes,
A lot
and
happening. Bob said.
a lot happening. He's trying to see which hooks Daniel will go for, especially because like I don't say like, busting that story about Lestat, but like I guess like it feeds that splinter of coldness in Daniel, especially because like he's been thrown out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like these other vampires got to stick around. Daniel is excluded from the whole thing. And I get it's because it's a whole documentary and Lestat's supposed to be dead, but like I don't know. He feels, and he's still trying to make a documentary despite
I mean,
it all.
it's what we also another thing we always talk about something,
We're
but it's
always saying this.
we always talk about something to each other. But like we talked about this, that like it feels Daniel doesn't have anything else.
No.
Like Louis told him keep fucking doing this shit, and he's done this fucking shit his entire life, even as everything else failed. And so this is all that he has. Like so he's determined to just do that.
Exactly.
He doesn't have Louis in his ear anymore to tell him to do something else.
And I think Armand is trying to see if maybe
like,
he can tell him to do something else.
He's like, listen, I'm already starting a new cult anyways, and I have the whole program here.
He's like, I see you're adrift.
Yeah.
You know, we all find ourselves in moments without purpose.
Irritating.
I could help you find that purpose if you follow my steps. Yeah, goodness.
Here we go again.
But yeah, and so that all is going on with him. I feel like he, to me, the way that I interpreted him killing Larry as like trying to eliminate any possibility of this record getting made so that Larry can't change his mind later and be like, I'm coming back. Like, he is taking care of that. I hope he takes care of the rest of it because he
loves picking off fledglings.
Loves to kill a fledgling. So, and also his whole thing, he wants, you know, they kind of already said between him and Lestat, their conversation in the tour bus, that like Armand is like, we can't sustain the numbers that they're trying to do, and it's like, you know, we need to curb this somehow. And so he met up with Lestat to be like, you need to stop because people are rallying around this. You know, they're using the fact that you're out here being very public about being a vampire as a way to justify the great conversion. You need to stop doing that.
I have something to say.
Say it.
It's not really, finish this thought.
Basically, it's just like, so we have Armand and Gabriella in direct opposition, where she's like, we got to push the great conversion, and Armand is running counter, you know, defense to like try and shut it down. And I think he's trying to get all the people he can in line to like stop this from happening, because this is like the worst case scenario. What did you have to say?
Speaking of Armand and Lestat, something that we glazed over, but
I'm scared.
I just want to say that Lestat tried to stop me from saying this because the lights went out.
Yeah.
But Nikki revealed that Lestat was out here gobbling up Armand's dick. Up to like, what, 400? It was 400 times? 400 times?
Upwards of 400, yes.
Okay. I thought y'all said that, I thought somebody said that Lestat doesn't want him. Well, he was doing something.
Yep.
So
basically every other night.
Talking about, you know, trying to act like he can't satisfy. You know, you had a lot of nerves saying a lot of shit when I knew the opposite. And apparently you were having a good old time. You kept going back for more. So I'm just saying.
Exactly. Exactly.
Interesting. Real.
And the way that he, even before we had Armand in an episode, he kept bringing up Armand. He would think about Armand. He would mention Armand. Armand's at the fake dinner. He could have not invited him if he wasn't important, but he's like, he's got to be here, even if I'm making fun of him. He has to be here, you know?
Because I hate to say it, but Lesmond lives.
Lesmond is so crucial to so many relationships.
They love each other, and they sometimes hate each other.
They sometimes love and hate each other at the exact same time. There's that. And then, okay, so speaking of everything going on,
the thing is, all these guys, they all just revolve around each other, and that's why at the end of the day is what we need to accept, that all, like, sometimes we will take a year and go back to Armand, and then, you know, him and Lestat meet back up, and then Lestat and Armand are, you know, doing their thing, and then, you know, Daniel Armand, they Mike has like, yeah, period.
Exactly.
Let me the fuck out of this room right now. I'm tired of hearing about fucking vampires.
To get back to the story, because we have to cover more Akasha stuff, because we haven't even gotten into her big
Let's get into Akasha, and I think that's everything.
Yeah, we have the...
Oh, wait, it's good.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, I was just gonna say we have the return of like the long table here in the whole patriarchal conversation, and the table kind of this whole season being a metaphor for the patriarchy and like patriarchal control. So Lestat setting it up and putting who all he puts at this table and how he puts them at the table, I do think is really interesting and really important. We already said he made Armand a piece of moldy bread. I'm pretty sure when I watched it, I had thought that Mary's was a normal piece, but I think he's empty. So the father is absent. In this whole conversation where he's talking, like he asks, "Where is God?" And there's because that I don't remember where I've said this, but I've said it somewhere in all of the times we've spoken about stories. But I'm like, stories about fathers and stories about parents are ultimately stories about God at the end of the day. And so
God it is.
Yeah. So like these things are all tied together, and Lestat being in this space and having these existential questions that do at the end of the day come back around to God, in this conversation about patriarchy and all of that. And, you know, Magnus, his vampiric father, and also him putting his mortal father at the table as well, with Marius and all of these things coming together, and Magnus being represented by this William Blake portrait of the Antichrist or the devil, the great red dragon from the William Blake series about that whole bit of Revelation, the book of Revelation. And he's, you know, bringing these things back to Akasha. She's been moving more, because before she was on the slab, but she's been raising up and raising up and raising up. And Lestat, we can feel him. It's been 10 years. He's going insane from this whole thing of like trying to appease this person who is, she's physically there, but she doesn't respond very often. And so every time she does respond, he's like, you know, like races for it. And we can also feel like her desperation to like move and be like something that as opposed to what she's been so far, which is stationary. And then, you know, he's playing music there. It's New Year's Eve, the dawn of the new century. So as this is turning over, and he's, you know, talking about the music, and she's tapping her hands to the beat of it, but there's also this like uncomfortable sexualization he starts to put on her as well when he comes over. And it's just kind of like, because we can assume that like Enkil is not alive. His body is kind of just being kept in this place, which is another absent father, you know? So like Marius has left, Magnus killed himself, Lestat killed his father, and so we have another father here who is not present. you know. But then him putting his hands on Akasha and being just like, how do you feel watching me put my hands on your Eve is weird.
Back up.
Yeah. This is all happening, and Lestat decides Akasha needs a little bit of makeup. And so he like puts his blood on her mouth, and that is enough of a boost for her to come to me, for her to do the come to me. And Lestat is ecstatic about this because she's reaching out her hand, and he's like, "Whoa!" But it's also scared. But he like, you know, puts his hand in hers, and she immediately like chomps him, and we see the arterial spray. I was like, she got him. Goodness, yeah,
a good piece,
a big piece. And then, you know, Marius comes back from his vacation, and he's like, how's it going? Oh, it's all bad. Because Akasha is like saying this whole long questions, just this long running questions that I think are a lot of them I feel like we can draw to book stuff, but then a lot of things I feel like we can draw to larger stuff. And she's just like, because when she said no voices, I don't necessarily know that she meant like stop talking or like commenting, but I think it's like she's been disconnected because like Gabriella has referred to the voices before, and it's the larger vampiric psychic network. And I think because Akasha's only been fed ashes, she's been cut off from the voices. So she's like, no voices. And so now she's been given the blood, and it's this whole huge download in her brain of everyone all at once, everything they're thinking, everything she's thinking, and it's all coming together. And she's seeing, you know, at the turn of the century, what all is still wrong. And you know, she's calling on things that have happened, she's calling on things that haven't happened, because I think like the why are they throwing stones, even though we know it's a lynching, Claudia called her trial a stoning. So it's just like, why this? And like, you know, the I think that mixed with like feeding ashes, like all of this, like there's like Claudia to me is very present in this speech as well, because what was done to her, which we have in season 3, her referring to what happened to her at the hands of Bruce, she called the bad things men do. And but there's been a lot of bad things that men have done to her, one of them being the trial. And so it's like this happening, and it's happening, and it's happening, and it's all happening. And but it's, you know, it's not just Claudia, this has happened to many girls, you know, who have been put in this situation. She's like, you know, and Akasha is seeing herself in every woman, and Akasha is seeing herself as them, but she's also seeing herself as the liberator for them. I can stop this. And it's
I am the answer.
I am the answer. And like, you know, her I am the night countering Louis' I own the night. Because you own the night. She is it, you know.
Is it?
And so I'm just like, yes.
Love it. And meanwhile, Mary is trying to keep her down. Bitch,
yeah, and he's just like, it'll take centuries before I can get her back down again. Which means maybe she's woken up before. I don't know if that feeds into
trying to keep someone down.
Yeah. Or take years before he can bring her back down again. And like, I wonder when she woke up again, does that have anything to do with the end kill thing? I don't know, because there was like a bit where they in the books where he's talked about walking to the crypt and seeing Akasha standing. Like she moves sometimes, and he doesn't know why. Or why she chooses to move sometimes and not other times, and if she can always move. Like, it's just there's a creepiness.
It's fun. I know. I loved
fun.
it. I loved reading it. I was like, ooh, she's like, I love my queen. I love her.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And so like, that scene, Sheila, and I love Akasha. I remember, you know, because I've seen the movie, obviously, and I saw the movie before I read the book, like most people. But I think most people our age, you know, saw the movie and then read the book later.
Yeah.
I find Akasha to be such a compelling sympathetic character. And I don't like the way that people talk about her. I don't like whenever we talk about like Akasha, people are coming in that just basically like, you know, I don't know. I don't like the language people use when they talk about her. It feels very anti-Black, honestly, because I don't see them talking about Aaliyah that way. So I think it does also play into the fact that Sheila is a dark-skinned woman.
Oh yeah, because
and so she's being read as more nefarious. Oh yeah, I know. We had
the way we had it. We shut that shit down on TikTok because y'all were pissing me the fuck off. I was about to start fighting people.
It was 2 hours. I went through and deleted every racist comment because like I couldn't stand.
It racist and colors because I can say it, but like some of it was from other Black folk, and I'm like, y'all. Sorry, no delight. Y'all can piss me off. Like, watch your fucking mouth.
Exactly. Okay? And yeah, so I love her. I love her. Yeah. I find her to be very.
I love Aaliyah too, but yes, like of course. Sheila's getting to be like a very complex. Akasha with
the motivation, because also something I love and I think that Sheila is doing very well, that because like once again, for the Queen of the Damned movie is what it is, and for what it is, like Aaliyah is the saving grace of that movie.
Yeah,
she's the only interesting part of that movie,
right?
And so, but with this, they're drawing a lot from the book, and something that I remember being struck by that's recurrent in the book is how often Akasha, who is so powerful and eerie and scary, will sometimes, like, Lestat will mention, like, him looking at her and he's like, she looks so young. Because in the book, she was turned very young. She was turned at about, like, 19 or 20. So, like, she looks young. And so Sheila is able to capture that when she's asking her questions and she feels young, and it's just constant barrage of questions, because once she calls herself the answer, but she doesn't have the answer to why all of these things are the way that they are. She's like, I know how I'm gonna fix it. I know how I'll fix it, but she doesn't know like why this all happened. And something I love about Akasha in the book is she does have these struggles with like faith. A lot of her feeling adrift is because she had a faith and now the faith is gone, and trying to find something new. And she's like, well, if I don't have any gods left, I can become the god. I can step into the space that is open, And, we have Lestat and this thing being like, where is God? And if God isn't there, there's a vacancy that Akasha can step into and take and be this person that can do these things for people, save people or, do these miraculous things. This whole season, we've had them push a lot of godlike or religious imagery on Lestat, but Akasha is the one who can deliver, and I love her. And right. I've sorry, what?
No, I said right.
Oh, sorry. Right. I thought you said something else. I thought you said wait. And I was like, oh. No, yeah. So, yeah, anyway. So I feel also in this whole conversation we've been having about the misogyny that we've noted in the story, I also feel like we need to talk about the misogyny I've noticed from how people talk about these characters. It's like you want more complex female characters, but you can't even handle Claudia,
Right.
Like the way that people talk about Claudia. And like, honestly, this my most controversial one, the way that people talk about Gabriella. Like, there is things about her story that I find very interesting, but like I feel like there is a dismissal of the things that happened to her as being bad. It's just like, why are we allowed to talk about the way that Lestat, another abusive character, has been abused and like offer him that sympathy, but we're not able to offer that sympathy to Gabriella? And then the same goes for Akasha, where it's like Akasha also has a very tragic backstory. Why are we not allowed to offer her sympathy? Why are we only able to say it when we couch it in the, I know she's bad, I know she's awful, I know she did XYZ, but
right,
she's an interesting person and I like these traits about her.
Meanwhile, in this very same week, we find out that Daniel is assaulting young people,
Mm-hmm.
and yet I saw people literally like hyping it up
Exactly.
and being like, "Oh my god, Daniel having sex with his students," even though he's not, it's not his students, but like,
Yeah.
having sex with his students while Armand watches. Oh my god, I'm like,
that's not what happened. That's not what was described.
Yeah. Like,
and I remember people being like, I can't believe, because one interviewer did ask like if there was any similarities that Assad or Armand saw between Daniel and Marius, and people acted like that interviewer was crazy for asking that, and was saying that like they're just asking that because they're both old, and it's like, no, they actually do have a lot of similarities.
Both white older men who think that they are more enlightened, they're more they have a moral superiority, who feel the need to like talk down to men of color.
Exactly.
Like, they're twinning them, actually. And
there are similarities. Absolutely there are.
Yeah.
And it's so, not like, ridiculous to ask.
And why are like people allowed to like y'all still like Daniel, people are still allowed to like Daniel, but all of a sudden we can't engage with Akasha?
Exactly.
Like, we can't.
It's like, I know that she did what she did to Mahara and Makere, and I know that that's bad. I also, controversial, I think genocide is bad. So like, I understand that, but also I am allowed to talk about how I think she's interesting.
Right. The problem
without
is
having to be like, let me, couch everything in a, whatever before I say it.
Once again, white men are allowed to be talked in a way with like, with all their complexities. People are even still allowed to like them, love them, even if they're doing like the worst things. But as soon as someone wants to like even just have a conversation about these people of color, these characters of color, all of a sudden it's like people will come into the comments, or you're just talking about them and be like, well, they're the worst person, blah 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 blah, and they did this and this and this and this and this and that, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh my god,
it's infuriating.
Shut the fuck up, actually.
Yeah.
Like, no one's justifying anything that they did. A lot of y'all will go and justify the things that the white people did and like act like they didn't even do it, to be honest, so that you can justify it. But
I'd say the white men,
white men,
because I feel like Gabriella gets thrown the bus for everything, and then some things are her fault.
Yeah, I mean,
but
she did that shit.
She did do that.
But people don't talk about her the same way that they talk about,
like, every time I look at something, Daniel, they're like, when is she gonna get killed?
For some reason, I don't know why Marius got stands, but whatever. Fuck, even Magnus, I talked about in my last one that I saw fucking people be like, what if Magnus was just like Lestat's silly dad? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's a pattern here. There's a pattern of who we're allowed to talk about with like complexity, and then you bring it up, enjoy their character, but other people, you have to like make a disclaimer and be like, I know this person is bad, but I think this is interesting about them. Like, no one expects that with Lestat. People love Lestat.
I know, and like, if you bring it up with Lestat, like, you're like, oh, he did this, like, well, this is the bad people show, everybody's a bad person,
right? So
but
what's
then
the
like
difference?
when because the same thing honestly is for if you're a fan of Armand, is that like, or if you do stuff with Armand, like if you make fan content of Armand, or even like share like a thought about Armand, you will find people who will be like, I hate him, and I'm like, I didn't ask.
I'm like, okay.
I didn't ask if you hated him. They're like, he's the worst, but this is interesting. And I'm like, why are you saying this to me?
And that's only for the people of color. And I guess sometimes Gabriella, but whatever.
It's because I'm just like, I don't know. Gabriella's plight is tied to everything Akasha says in her long speech, right? No, and Akasha has a similar background. Like, they were both married off to men they didn't know as children, forced to have children of their own, forced to have these kids, and then like being taken from places they don't know somewhere else. And like, they both come to a very murderous conclusion about what is to be done about it all. And the thing is, this is not that far removed from us. Like honestly, it's not that far off from like my grandmother's story. You know, like this is
right
recent
now,
history.
We're still literally dealing with the fact that, trying to make, they made abortion illegal in a lot of places, but like they're trying to force people to have kids. Like it's not that, it's not very far removed.
And I think there's like this idea that somehow women's issues are not as serious as other people's issues. Like I feel like it'll get like hand waved away a lot more than some other things.
We saw how people treated the fact, and who knows what they're going to do about it in the next episode. I'm scared, but we had the whole train scene where at that point 100% happened. But people were making, all the people wanted to talk about was how they wanted to label Lestat as cunty for his entrance, and that's all they fucking talked about was how like fucking fun he was. Meanwhile, Claudia was threatened with her abuse, with the fact that she was assaulted, like and
then forced to be dragged back to this horrible family situation. There's a reason this is like her second attempt at leaving.
Right.
It's because it's bad for her to be there, but she has to be brought back because Louis needs her, or she has to be brought back because of this, that, and the other.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Okay, like this is my fucking job for a while. Like I worked as in reproductive justice like for a few years, specifically Black reproductive justice. But that was our focus. But when you solve that, you fix it for everyone because but anyways, not to get into that, but it's part of the whole conversation. So whatever. Anyways, I'm very passionate about this. I mean, that's our whole thing. That's the whole reason why we honestly started this whole channel. Was just like it was partially because of the way that marketing was. It was a journal. The way that like journalists were like covering it pissed me off so much that I'm like, and also just the way that people talk about the characters of color. I'm like, there's something so special about this show that we are getting these complex characters, queer characters of color. I am going to highlight them. I am going to highlight the actors as well because they fucking deserve it. That's the whole reason why. And so yes, I do get irritated when I see the way that the difference in how people talk and allow people to talk about the characters of color, and in comparison to mainly the white men in the show.
But anyways, I had seen something recently like where this person who for all of seasons 1 and 2 like made very detailed racially conscious posts, and they were using crazy words to talk about Akasha. And one of the things they said is like she was never a victim, and I'm like, she was a victim.
That's actually crazy to say.
And it's like, I'm like, okay, so she did. I was like, so she did something bad, but it's just like that doesn't mean that she's not a victim. And this is the show where victims victimize other people all the time.
That's literally what we talked about last time as well. Like,
and it's like I don't know. It just.
We can talk about both things.
Anyway, Sheila was amazing. Sheila gave me everything I wanted. She's fantastic. I'm so excited for her.
Can't wait to see more. Love you.
The way that like that episode came out, and that's all I'm seeing people talk about because it was so
good.
It was so
You're amazing.
Good.
Absolutely love Sheila. And I guess we were kind of near the end, but I realized since we were going to just cut our other discussion, I did want to just mention talking about the queer characters of color. I was very excited to see, even though it was an evil setting, Louis talk even more about Lemuel. And I'm like, I do love that he now has a Black vampire boyfriend. Whether or not, Louis is being like, taking it easy, but he's been with very suffocating men. He's allowed to want something that's going to be
more
easy,
casual,
a little less demanding of him.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it a lot of it, because I know like Lestat makes everything about himself, but like this feels to me like Louis trying to find what he's looking for post Armand, because like
Yeah.
when he says there's nights I go where I don't know where he is and that's fine with me, and then him being like he doesn't wear time like it's a badge, cut to Armand always being like 77 years and then being like 47 more than he did with Lestat, like like it is he's got the he's got the analytics, he knows.
Yeah.
He knows, and he cares a lot about
I
it.
hope they're going out to black gay bars and doing black gay shit together when Louis not, haunted by Claudia.
Losing it. Yeah. But yeah. So I think
that's
that
finally it.
is everything.
That was long.
But so some of this is gonna have to be cut because we had a false start at the beginning, and then even so it's gonna be a little long.
But yeah, we'll get it out soon. Thank you. Oh, did you have something else to say?
I don't remember. It's okay
Did I
though.
interrupt you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm sure there will be. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to us and also listening to my rant at the end. I care very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. I guess that's really it. If you have thoughts, comment below as always. Like and subscribe to us if you also are passionate like me. That's it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.